You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. Before I go any further here, the theme for the bumper music today is TV shows, black and white TV shows.
Correct.
This is I Love Lucy, right?
You are correct.
All right.
If you get any wrong, we can use the sleep thing as your your reasoning.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm not on my A game.
Exactly.
But with black and white TV, hey, this is my wheelhouse. I was a kid parked in front of a TV.
I had to think back
in
to my
the
Nick at Night
60s.
watching.
Yeah. So, welcome back. Like I said, I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. The show is also brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. You can count on Extreme Exteriors for expert installation of exterior siding, roofing, soffits, fascia, decks, windows, and more. With their knowledge and experience, they can design the perfect solution to make your home beautiful and energy efficient, saving you maintenance and money for years to come. Give them a call at 763-441-1334 and tell them Gene sent you. It's time now to hear from the Community Associations Institute. The CAI Minute is brought to you by New Concepts Rental Management. Whether you're an accidental landlord or a seasoned investor, New Concepts Rental Management can advise and guide you through every aspect of the business. Give us a call at 952-922-2500.
Are you a volunteer in your homeowner association? Maybe a residential property manager wanting to increase your industry knowledge and obtain professional credentials in property management. Are you a vendor or professional offering services to homeowners and associations or property managers? If you said yes to any one of those questions, then join the Community Association Institute. The CAI is a great organization, helping you be informed and more proficient in your homeowner association board member or property manager role. It's also a great way to network with potential clients. For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit cai-mn.com to learn more. That's cai-mn.com. The Minnesota chapter of CAI holds monthly managers' luncheons, board member education training, property manager certification training, and much more. It also produces a bi-monthly informative magazine called Minnesota Community Living. Why not join the Community Association Institute today? You can do so online at cai-mn.com and select membership.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about a story that was told by NBC Today's show a few weeks ago about a neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. And there are a number of neighbors who are upset over a couple's desire to build their dream home. The problem is their dream home is in the style of sort of a modernist style of Frank Lloyd Wright. The gentleman and his wife, the gentleman, Mr. Cherry, is an architect and has done a beautiful job. The home is in an area called the Oakwood neighborhood of about 600 homes. The homes are made up of two distinct styles, and they are Victorian and what's called a shotgun bungalow. Now, a Victorian house, I think a lot of people are familiar with those. There's a lot of an ornateness to them, a lot of scrolling, a lot of what's called gingerbread, leaded glass windows, and it came from a different time period, probably the mid 1850s to late 1880s or so. And then you have another style that's called the shotgun bungalow. Now, the shotgun bungalow is really a much more simple home. In a shotgun bungalow, if it's a little bit different in that when you enter into a room, you don't have any hallways. So you enter into, you are on the porch, you enter into the foyer, then you enter into the living room, and then you'll enter into a dining room, and then you'll enter into a kitchen, and then you'll enter into the bedroom in back. And a lot of them were built at a time when there wasn't any indoor plumbing either. So a lot has had to been done with both these Victorian homes and these shotgun bungalows to get them modernized so people would have all the conveniences that we use and enjoy in our homes. But now you have this group of neighbors who are saying, we don't want this Frank Lloyd Wright style home in there. We don't think it's in keeping. And we think that even though they had gotten permission from the city council through the Board of Adjustment, the historic board that takes a look at anything that goes into a historic district beforehand, they gave their nod of approval. These people are now building their home. It's almost completed, and now neighbors are coming up and saying, nope, you don't have the right to do it, and now they're putting a stop to it. And so, a lot of people, because they hear me on the show, say I talk a lot about a homeowner association's rights. Surely I'm going to be citing on this neighborhood group that wants to keep things within the same architectural control, because that's what I advocate with HOAs all the time, right? But in this case, it's a little bit different. The facts are different. And what were the facts that were different? Well, they were these items. Number one, I think it's important to realize that even though this is in a historic district, there was no historic building that was being torn down. That would have been problematic because, as I mentioned in the first segment, if you have a home that is registered with the National Historic Registry, there are a lot of prohibitions on what you can do and how you can even repair a home, let alone you can't tear it down. It's got to be preserved and be there for posterity's sake, for other people to be able to see and enjoy. But there was no historic home that was being torn down at all. It was a vacant lot. Okay? Number two, you need to realize the process you go through to get a permit. These people did everything legally. They went through the city council, and the city council went to the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is the department in a city that takes a look and says, is a building allowed to be here because of zoning ordinances? They're quite aware of what can and can't be done, okay? So these people submitted their plans to the Board of Adjustment in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, before the Board of Adjustment gave their nod, they said, well, wait, we know this home is in a historic neighborhood. So they turned it back to the Historic Development Commission. Now, it's the Historic Development Commission's, it is their authority to comb through the substantial laws that govern and establish what is and is not a historic district. So the Historic Development Commission had gone through everything. It had passed with them. It had passed their muster. So it went back to the Board of Adjustment, and it got their approval. Now the Board of Adjustment went to the City Council and said, hey, this one, it looks good to us. And the City Council said, okay, now before we pass this, they do one other thing. They notify all the neighbors in the area surrounding this property saying, hey, if you have any issues, any problems, come to this hearing because this is what wants to be done. You can see all the plans and everything. And I think it is important to note here, nobody showed up. Not one person. Not one person thought it was important enough during the actual time that here was a couple who went through all of the processes and did everything correctly, following every single law in order to build what would be considered their dream home. And nobody bothered to show up. And so that is probably why I am falling down on the side of the property rights of this couple and not the neighborhood for their architectural control. So in essence, if we can take a look at this and compare it to the way an HOA works, okay? In this particular case, you've got the city council. Well, that would be the same as the board of directors. And when a homeowner asks for a request with the board of directors, what do? The board of directors, a lot of times, will give it to a committee. In this case, the city council gave it to the Board of Adjustment. If there's an architectural change to the exterior of a home in an HOA, The board a lot of times will give it to the Architectural Control Committee, and it's going to be their responsibility to go through the governing documents to see if there's anything that this person wants or how they want it built that's already established. In the case of an HOA, the Architectural Control Committee goes back to the board and says, no, it all looks good. In this particular case, the Board of Adjustment checked with the Historic District Commission, said everything looks good. They got back to the City Council, said it's all okay. Now the city goes ahead and says, we want to get everybody's input. And they did that. And nobody shows up. And hey, I guess that's quite a bit of what happens a lot of times in HOAs too, right? The board says, hey, we've got an important decision here. We'd like to get your feedback. Because the board of directors says, we know that we have a responsibility to act according to the wishes of the majority of those living in the HOA. Well, here the city had done that in Raleigh. The city council had asked for a special meeting, and nobody shows up. So the city council says, I guess it's not important enough, and they went ahead. And that's what happens in an HOA. Nobody shows up, and so the board says, well, our best guess is this. They make a decision. And now that the decision is made and people have to live with it, guess what? That's when all heck breaks loose, right? So if this isn't like an HOA, I don't know what is. Why? When you participate in an HOA, it's important to realize that politics are very important. Don't look at things and say, I thought we hired people like a management company. Or if you live in a city, say, oh, we hired or elected politicians. We pay them to make decisions for us. And then sit back and not participate in the process. We live in a unique and wonderful system that allows us to exercise and enjoy our freedom and rights. But along with that comes responsibility. The responsibility of balancing the rights of a democratic majority with that of also the rights of an individual. And you cannot say on one hand, I choose not to participate, and then in the next breath say, I don't like what others have done, and now I expect you to change it. It seems to me that I think that is what is terribly wrong with HOAs, because people don't realize that you need to exercise our freedom and our right to participate in a democratic society. And that's the same at the city level, the state, and the federal. So my hopes are in this particular case, and we'll watch this to see, it's going before a judge now, and I hope that the judge will be able to see that in this particular case, the rights of the individuals should be upheld because they did indeed go through and gave everybody their right to speak. Well, we need to take a break. Don't go away. A lot more of Where You Live right here on AM 1280 The Patriot. Back after this.